Hello everyone, my name is Jesse and welcome to a very exciting episode. Today we're going to be going into an in-depth review of all Pyrus Dragonoid evolutions. That's right, so from Season 1 Drago all the way to Season 4 Drago, we're going to be doing an in-depth review. We're going to talk about all their unique talents or unique traits they have in the Bakugan themselves. I'm really excited to get into this, guys, so let's go ahead and jump into it. The card we're going to be using to open all these Bakugan is Fire Pit, a Silver Gate card. Features Dragonoid right here, and it's 140 to Pyrus, so obviously very good for Dragonoid. But this is the card we're going to be using, and we're just going to leave it right there to help assist us as we go through all these Bakugan. So, first up, we have regular old Pyrus Dragonoid. So if you guys are really unfamiliar with what we're looking at here, this is Dan Kuso's Guardian Bakugan. So in the first season through the fourth season, Drago is with Dan throughout the entire thing, assisting him in his battles and all that good stuff. So he is essentially the main character of Bakugan and the face of Bakugan. This is a B1 Pyrus Dragonoid. So Bakugan later reverted to a B2, which is a slightly larger ball, just as a safety thing, and it's easier to play the game with a little bit of a bigger ball because these were hard to get your hands around and all that because they're quite tiny, a little bit bigger than like your biggest marble, I would say. But this is a B1, so Dragonoid's super easy to open. He's got a horn here that comes out, and then feet that have little grooves to stick a finger into and pop the feet open like so. So this is what Drago looks like currently, and then you can pop him open. Mine gets a little stuck, but there he goes. So this is Pyrus Dragonoid. We have him at 480 Gs, as you can see here, so quite a strong Bakugan, especially for a B1. And I gotta say, as a classic Bakugan, like, he's it. This is like what I remember from my childhood from Bakugan the most. It's just Drago. He's very nostalgic for most of you, probably, I'm sure. A good go-to Bakugan, pretty easy to open. I'm really loving the original color scheme for these. Drago changes a lot later on, but like this darker red on this nice bronze, like, you can't beat it. It's amazing. And I love it so much. So he's also easy to close, so just like that, you pop the feet, close the horn, and then for most Drago, the rule is you shut the wings like this, so there's like a little hole, and then you just pop the head in, and he's good to go. Back in ball form, and ready to roll, literally, but he won't open. He gets stuck. Up next, we have Delta Dragonoid. So this is the evolution of Drago, and honestly, probably my favorite Bakugan ever. My favorite evolution and just favorite design. I have a lot to say about Delta Dragonoid. I love it a lot. So first thing I want you to take a notice of is this silver ring here. This is a heavy metal Bakugan, so a unique special attack type of Bakugan. One of the things heavy metal Bakugan can do is knock over other Bakugan. They have a higher chance to critical KO, which means knock a Bakugan off the gate card. Because of this heavy ring, they hit harder and are more easy to roll and control. So it's just easier to smack Bakugan off the cards and win the gate card. A couple things about Delta here. Number one, the feet are incredible. Love that right there. Just like the lava almost look on them. So what's super interesting about Delta here is he's the only Dragonoid to have a horn that manually deploys. So you don't actually have to touch this. He just pops open. And his horn is right there, which is amazing. He's got a little mouth that moves. Blue eyes, which is different because he changes from green to blue. And you'll see that kind of flip-flop back and forth a little bit. It's pretty consistent after this, but I think the next Bakugan we're taking a look at has blue eyes as well. But love the look, very snake-like, got some nice claws here, you can really take a look at those. Again, this nice wingspan's pretty cool, and just that heavy metal really accents all the silver in them, really awesome. Similar to the original Dragonoid, just that same color scheme of that red on bronze, super nice, got the pyrus symbol on the wing there, Really, really awesome Bakugan. Definitely my favorite. Unfortunately, my Delta Dragonoid never came with G-Power. I'm not sure what that's all about, but if it were to be on the Bakugan, it would be either on like the hand right here, on the opposite side right there, or underneath the head, kind of where the regular Dragos is. And I think it would be 670 Gs if I'm remembering right from the wiki. But for some reason, mine never got it. I don't know what the deal is with that. It just never had it, which is unfortunate, but it is what it is. And to close them, you just shut the legs. Again, lock those wings in and collapse the head. So the next Bakugan on the list, I actually can't show you because they never made it. So I'm talking about Ultimate Dragonoid. I'll put up a picture on the screen right here of what he looks like, and essentially Bakugan just never released it. We don't know why, but it never became an actual toy. Some people decided to, you know, make 3D printed copies of it, make their own, but it was never actually, you know, officially released. So we never got it, and I don't know, it's kind of unfortunate. I'd like to get my hands on one of these, but you can't because they don't exist. But that's Ultimate Dragonoid, so pretty cool, and he would be the third evolution of Drago in this line. Last on the first season of Bakugan, we have Infinity Dragonoid or Perfect Dragonoid, whichever you want to call it. He technically can go by either, but this is after Drago absorbed the Infinity Core in the show. Unfortunately, this Bakugan looks nothing like he does in the show, so I'm going to go and pop him open and kind of give you, just sit here and take a look for a minute. I'll pull up a picture here just to show you that he looks nothing like what he does in the show at all. So kind of weird. I don't exactly know why they would do that. Maybe it's to promote heavy metal again. Speaking of which, heavy metal right here, so this is another heavy metal Bakugan, and another unique feature of heavy metal is that they can do unique rolls or spins to like manipulate the game more, to really maneuver around your enemy. So for instance, Infinity can do a complete almost like side spin to get to a card behind the enemy or whatever, the opponent. And it's really cool because he can just kind of glide right around. And if you do this like really, really well, I wasn't able to get a good, I wasn't able to actually do this. But if you do it really good, you can kind of make the Bakugan do a full 360. It's kind of interesting. Heavy metal is good for that. This right here is Infinity, 680 Gs right there on the wing. So pretty strong, definitely the strongest out of all the Dragonoids I've shown you guys so far. As you can see here, he does have blue eyes, but he has no deployable horn, which is kind of sad. This one is just very different. I like it because it's different, but it's so different from all Dragos that it kind of looks like its own separate Bakugan and not actually a Dragonoid. But like most Dragos, he's got some like wings. Not sure if these are meant to be feet right here or wings themselves, but they do look cool spread out like this, so that's pretty awesome. To close them, it's very simple. First off, you shut the legs right like that. Then you close these wings. Sometimes these like to re-pop out, but you close like the hands, and then the head tucks in, and then you seal it with the wings right there. Pretty easy. Just a quick intermission, guys. I do want to let you know I do buy and sell Bakugan. You can check out both my eBay and Mercari, whichever you prefer, in the description below. You can also follow my Instagram, and if you need anything business related, you can check out my email down below, joystickjesse99@gmail.com. Up next on the list is Neo Dragonoid. So this is a translucent Neo Dragonoid, part of my collection where I collected all the Season 2 main characters as translucent if it was available. So this is the translucent version. Obviously there are variations to this. There is the opaque version, which is just solid red. There's the vortex version that spins, and then they also have a hex version, which is one variation of Drago that came from the show when Spectra used some kind of cracked ability cards and turned him into like an evil Dragonoid or whatever. So there's a different color scheme there, but they're all the same. This is the evolution. Those are variations. You've also got Neo Dragonoid from the Maxis Dragonoid set. Again, all Neo Dragonoid, just variations. So this is what Neo looks like. He's honestly the most recognizable Dragonoid. So his feet pop here, and then you've got these horns that deploy, but these back ones are kind of locked until you've popped him all the way open. But you pop him down like that. There he is. Pull out his horns, which are a nice bright yellow. So this is the big change that Bakugan had in the second season. Is things got brighter for some reason. Maybe it's just to help market it. Not 100% sure. But we have Neo here, and honestly, pretty sick, gotta say. So this is right off the second season, so he's got much more identifiable features now. Obviously the horn, his eyes have gone back to green right there, hands right there, which look a bit more hand-like than claws at this point. He is 575 Gs, if you can see that right there. So significantly weaker than Infinity and Delta, but stronger than the original. Not sure if that's like on purpose or just a toy thing, but you'd think as Drago evolved he'd get stronger, but that's not really the case. I guess it also depends on where you bought him from and all that good stuff. But yeah, really a big fan of the translucent, really nice shine. Again, you've got this nice bronze color, which I really am a fan of. But now you have that coupled with these yellow horns, which is honestly I'm okay with. It's a nice change and all that. Again, pyrus symbol still on the wing, so we've got some consistency there, which is really nice. But other than that, Neo is not got too much going for him unless you've got the Vortex version, which just spins. But other than that, Neo is very easy to close. Of course, you shut the feet first, then you go ahead and collapse the horns down. You can shut these two side wings right here, so there's two, and then they just kind of close in. Next up, you kind of have to shut the wings and the head around the same time just to get them to lock. There you go. So sometimes that can be a little tricky, but other than that, he's a very easy close. Next up on the list is Cross Dragonoid, the evolution of Neo Dragonoid. This one is, of course, translucent, a part of my Season 2 translucent collection set. This is a Japanese exclusive Bakugan. You couldn't get it in the US. What makes this one even harder to get is it was Japanese exclusive, and it was exclusive to the Defenders of the Core DS edition from 2010. So this came with the game. When you bought it, it was in a little box, similar to Naga in the DS version of the first Bakugan Battle Brawlers game. But this was exclusive to only Japan, so he's unique in a ton of ways. If you can tell, the plastic on this translucent is a bit more clear, and it's kind of like cleaner. You see this a lot with Japanese Bakugan that are translucent in general. I guess there's a higher quality plastic they used over there. But overall, really nice. So Cross is really easy to open, but you do have to kind of open him after he's been deployed. So you can pop out this horn, but not these other two. So very similar to Neo still. The feet will not pop until you've dropped him, but he does spin. So this is Vortex, so this is a unique feature to Drago, and honestly it's really cool. So I'm going to drop him, and of course he will spin because he's Vortex. So he doesn't really spin all that much, but you can like wind him, I guess. And he does like move and stuff like that. So that's kind of cool, but it does get a little annoying because sometimes like you want him to sit straight and he doesn't quite do that. But there are his feet. He's got a little tail back here that helps balance him. So that kind of pops out. And yeah, like I said, he does spin quite a bit. So if you want to get him like perfectly straight, you gotta like mess with him. But he is 580 Gs. So if you look at my Neo, he's only 5 Gs stronger, which is a bit disappointing, especially because you get such an epic upgrade. But this is Cross. Super interesting Bakugan just for the spinning and all that. As you can see, again, the pyrus symbol is on the wing. This one's a little lopsided though. It's kind of like pointing towards the right rather than sticking straight up, which is interesting. But still on the wing, so we've definitely got some crazy consistency there, aside from Infinity, who had his on the head. But otherwise, they're on the wing. So you can just tell Infinity was kind of a fluke to begin with. But yeah, Cross Drago, again, keeping that bronze look on top of the red as Pyrus do, and with all Season 2, the yellow horns, which are super nice. Yellow hands as well, which is super cool. But yeah, super hard Bakugan to find. If you do happen to get one, consider yourself very lucky, because they are very sought after. Cross is a bit more complicated to close. I always start with the feet, and then I go in and close the horns, as I do all my Dragos, and then I close these bottom wings, which you can hear kind of zip, and then you have to line up the head, of course, with everything else, and then this little piece will catch on the back of the head, which sometimes doesn't. I think it's very specific, but it will go in as long as it catches the head. There you go, like so. Up next is Helix, which is definitely not my number one on this list. Helix is just alright. This started, he's kind of in the second season, kind of in the third season, Gundalian Invaders. It's a bit wishy-washy because he's in both, but I'm going to put him in Season 2. Right here you can see he's got his DNA code from the the game they had online before it went down. You can see now they've lost that bronze and put in more yellow. So yellow seems to have won out, and then they changed some of that yellowing to an orange detailing. So Helix is pretty easy to open like all other Dragonoid. Pop the horn, then the feet, like so, and then just plop him on the card, and he'll spring open. And the one thing about Helix, which is interesting, is these hands. They're kind of like free hanging, which make him harder to close. But yeah, overall, pretty cool. Strong Bakugan, 720 Gs. Let's see if I can show that. Right there, 720, so significantly stronger than Cross. Probably because Cross is Japanese exclusive, and for some reason the Japanese Bakugan are much lower in G power. Not sure why that is, but the unique feature with Helix is that these wings pop out like this, and you can actually add battle gear. So this is like the first Dragonoid to have battle gear, and I do happen to have his exclusive battle gear. So this is a translucent jet core. It does light up. One of the lights is a bit broken, as you'll see, but it just has some holes right here, and it lines up, and it will pop open. And yeah, you see one light glows, but sometimes the other one will glow too. It's very broken. But, of course, this will have G power. I believe it's underneath it somewhere. Yep. So 120 Gs on the battle gear, and that will just add to Helix's during a game. So he just gets stronger with all of this battle gear. So really cool that he can like pop that up and just kind of like, you know, add extra power to himself. I think it's super awesome. And definitely where I think Bakugan should have stopped adding all these extra things to them, because it's cool to have battle gear, but it starts to get out of control, and I'll get to that in a minute. But pretty cool for Helix, and of course all this just collapses in on itself. So jet core, you kind of just shut, fairly easy, just lock it all together. And then Helix, of course, close the feet and the horns, make them smaller, and then make sure you pop up his wings so they do lock back in. Arms have to be kind of backwards. This is where it gets confusing, because they'll want to flop forward, but you won't want to let them. And then, of course, make sure you get the wings to push up, which they also don't ever want to do, but you'll get it eventually. They got to really spring forward and lock, and then boom, close. So kind of difficult and not the easiest in the world. He also has this like lip right here, which makes it really hard to roll him, which I'm not a fan of. Up next, we have Lumino Dragonoid, which is the evolution of Helix Dragonoid, and these guys are super similar. There's more yellow, I guess, in Lumino, but the designs are almost identical, and you'll see what I mean here in a second when I open him. The only difference is he has these chrome horns and feet that make him different. But other than that, they are like almost the same Bakugan. Like, it's kind of crazy. So I'll go ahead and pop him open. Mine does like to kind of like open on its own here, so go ahead and get him open while he's at it. Alright, get a wing over here, And I mean, yeah, that's Lumino. He looks hyper similar to Helix. Same wings, similar horns, similar feet. The only difference now is the hands actually you can adjust instead of them just wiggling. You can kind of move them around, which is cool. The G power is 900 Gs, which you can kind of see right there. So 900 Gs, which is really strong for a Dragonoid. But just like Helix, his wings do collapse back, and you can put battle gear on there. His battle gear in the show is the Explosives gear. However, I do not have that. But I can show you again just with the jet core that it pops open and will stick on the back of him. So it's the same exact concept still. Yeah, the only difference in Lumino is he has these wings here. His horns are a bit different, so are his feet and hands. But like this very similar in layout, I guess. So I don't know. He feels kind of like a wash up for me after having Helix. But he is very easy to close, so of course you shut the feet up and the horns, so make sure those are closed. Make sure these wings on the tiny wings on the side are closed, and then you can kind of start popping up his wings and his tail right here. So this is broken, I think, right here. So this one might fight me the whole time. But then you can just sort of start closing his head along with the wings. You just got to make sure you get those hands in the right position, or else they will battle you the whole time you're trying to close them. But they all shut together, and then you can lock everything in place. Mine just has a hard time closing, similar to my Helix, so maybe there is a design flaw there with everything. But again, the pyrus symbol's on the wings, so super interesting how consistent they have been so far. So up next is Blitz Dragonoid, which looks nothing like he does in the show, and I'll show you here in a second. But let's take a look at him first. Just look at the colors. So again, you've gone from this bronze color from the first season and the second season to this yellow, which I'm not against, but I do think I prefer that shiny bronze. We get the horns out. These actually pop out all separately, and then the feet come out. So we can go ahead and pop him open just like that. And I'm gonna go ahead and put a picture here while I talk about him. So yeah, Blitz looks nothing like he does in the show. In fact, Blitz looks more like Battlix in like the toy form. So I'll put up Battlix right now, which comes with the Dragonoid Colossus, which is similar to Max's Drago. He looks more like that than Blitz actually does. Blitz is like a very different toy. I'm not 100% sure why they would even do that when they could have just released Battlix and called it Blitz. But they didn't. This is the official name this is the official toy for Blitz Dragonoid, which he's not the worst in the world. I think a lot of people don't like him because he doesn't look similar, but like he's cool in his own right. He's got more of like a hooked face, so he's got more of like a beak, and all that good stuff. He does bend forward so he can fit battle gear like so. And his battle gear for this is Axter. It's the Axter gear, which I don't have, but like any battle gear, it just clips on like so to fight, which is kind of weird because he just kind of like lays his face in the ground. You gotta like pop him back. He's all kinds of a mess. But so yeah, the unique feature about Blitz is that he only has 50 Gs. Yeah, look at that. See that? See, it's on the wing right there. Let's see if I can show you. Way in the back, yeah. He's just got 50 Gs, which is like, what? No, I'm kidding. He doesn't actually have 50 Gs. So on the back here, he's got a button that you can press. So you click that down, and his, let's see if I can get it just right. His hands pop out. So just like that. And he actually has 700 Gs. So right there you can see it. It's a little bit hard in this lighting. But I can zoom in for you. 700 Gs right there. Perfect. It's much weaker than Helix that we just looked at, or even like Lumino, who had 900. So interesting that they'd go weaker on us. But yeah, this is Blitz, and overall, like, pretty cool. But also not my favorite. But yeah, he's easy to close as well. So you just shut the feet, shut the horns. Make sure his arms lock back in like so. So click them back in. And then he kind of just like goes to sleep. You can tuck his little nose in the little hole right there and then lock him up. Interesting enough, this Bakugan has his symbol on the front. So it seems like we're getting a trend of where all Dragos have theirs on their wings except the ones that are not show accurate. So I don't know, pretty interesting there.
RAIAS.
Up next we have Titanium Dragonoid, which is by far a fan favorite. He's got a super long horn here, and these horns that come up individually, as well as these nice feet. You can see the die-cast chrome here. Mine is just plastic, it's not real metal. Some of the die-cast are actually metal, but this one is not. He's also got a really long tail. He's also, I think, the tallest Dragonoid. I'm not 100% sure on that, but from my own like video and like checking him out and stuff, he's significantly taller. So let's go ahead and pop him open. Yep. So he's quite tall. Again, we still have these hands, and fortunately now they don't punch out. They just kind of sit there and flop. He's got a pretty unique wing system here. Let's check the wings for the symbol. Where's the symbol? On the back of the head. So not quite on the wing, but I guess that's the only place they could put it. He has, looks like 910 Gs. Mine's a little scraped off, so it's kind of hard to see there, but it's looking like 910. Yep, 910, and of course more green eyes there. So if we're keeping track and consistency, we're looking pretty good. I really like the like wideness of him. The wings spread out is still very consistent with Drago and all that good stuff. Now he's got a lot of different pegs. I actually think he has the most pegs of any Bakugan for Baku Nano, which is like the upgrade from what was Battle Gear. So I don't have any Baku Nano, so unfortunately I cannot really do a good display, but he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So 5 different pegs for Battle Gear. And his Battle Gear in the show was the Sonic Cannon, and he had Mobile Assaults, which were Zoomfa and Reptilier. And then he also had like Mekutan, which we're not going to really get into. But what's unique about Titanium is that he could mutate. So he had a mutant form, which was Mercury Dragonoid, which is right here. So we're going to leave Titanium off in the background. And so for certain parts of the show, they could mutate. So they would mutate with other Bakugan to get stronger. And I happen to have Pyrus Mercury Dragonoid here, so I can really show it. So he's already trying to open. I guess he's excited. But yeah, so you can pop him open. Oop. I guess he really doesn't want to. But yeah, wings and feet out. Okay, so yeah, pretty unique here, I guess. So it's really weird in the show. They kind of just have him as Titanium, and then suddenly he'll just change into Mercury. But if you want to take a look and compare G power, so 910 to 970, he does get stronger. But you know, in the show, he combines with Helios and Taline to get stronger. I do have a video showcasing Mercury. I'll put it like an icon up in the corner there, right here. Let's see, right here. So you can click that if you're interested, just to see Mercury and how he works with mutant Helios and all that, because I have plenty of videos on that, kind of showcasing it. Because mutants, actually, you have a little button in the back that you press, and they detach, so you can swap them. So they swap parts, they swap attributes. Notice on the wing, we got something going on. But yeah, so Mercury's easy to close. Just make sure you get his feet up. His wings are similar to Helix and Lumino, where you gotta like push them down. So make sure you do that. Then of course wings go down, then head to lock it in place, and then wings, and he's ready to go. So yeah, that's pretty unique. Just another way I guess they created more Bakugan and stuff. But Mercury is still essentially Titanium, except just mutated with another Bakugan. So Titanium closes just the same as pretty much every Drago. Lock the feet, close the horns, flip the tail up, and then you kind of gotta wiggle this, but his head will go down, and then you can close both the wings. So yeah, another thing I don't like too much about these Mechanium Surge Bakugan is like this weird lip. Like I know it's there to, like, I guess help balance it and stuff, but rolling this Bakugan is terrible. Like, it kind of goes everywhere, and it doesn't really quite work. I don't know, not my favorite. Lastly, we have Fusion Dragonoid, which is the final evolution of Drago for the Legacy series. This is a Sky Raider Bakugan, and very unique, very different. A lot of people are not fans of this Dragonoid because he looks so different from the other ones. I, however, am actually a fan of it. So the Sky Raiders jump, and you can use that to your advantage. I don't think you're allowed to use them in official Bakugan battles, but if you're battling your friends and stuff, it's super cool because you can like have them leap over Bakugan and land on another card. It's a great way to avoid a battle or outsmart your opponent. So I'm going to go ahead and place him down here. You'll get to see another jump, but he does kind of spring forward, so yeah. Always kind of scared he's going to break or something like that, but he's pretty strong, pretty durable, and he does get the job done. So, as you can see here, pyrus symbol on the wing, very, very nice. He's also got different G powers. You can put different ones on here just depending on what like Bakugan you have that have these. So like I know Commandix, which is a variation of this, has like different ones than maybe the Baku Camo version of this has. This is the like official one. This is like the anime accurate one. So you got 30 Gs here and 30 Gs here on the wings, and then on the side here you have 890. So 890 plus 60, I believe makes the strongest Dragonoid we have out of all these, if I'm doing my math correctly. Yeah, super cool. I'm really digging like the flare out on him, so he's got such tall wings and all that good stuff. And he's also got a peg right here, which helps him combine with Reptac to create an Arrow Blitz. So he can just kind of combine and become stronger, similar to all the different battle gear and Baku Nano and all that stuff. Of course, he's got a couple different variations that came with a couple different like toy lines and all that good stuff. But I am very happy with this Bakugan. I think he's unique. I think it really ended the Drago line, at least in a toy sense, very well, because it was like, this is like the height of coolest toy ever. I am not very familiar with the end of the show, unfortunately, so I don't know how that ended. I can see why people are pretty disappointed, like, if he ended looking like this, because it's sort of like, man, that doesn't really look like Drago. Like, it doesn't even look like a dragon. Like, if you compare, like, Fusion to, like, Delta, you're gonna be like, what? Like, Delta's so much cooler. He looks like an actual dragon compared to Fusion. But it is what it is. He's definitely one of my favorites. I don't think he quite necessarily beats Delta and Cross Dragonoid, but to me he's better than Titanium, so I'm pretty happy with him. And to close him, all you gotta do is push these feet up. They close together. They're also like spring loaded, so be careful. You shut the horns here, and then you kind of got to move the head back. It will lock into place. You got to fiddle with it some, and then close the hands in, and then of course just lock the wings, and there he goes. Alright guys, and that's going to do it for this video. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, feel free to leave a like, drop a comment, and of course subscribe for more awesome content. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.